Good biblical morning. Yeah. Welcome back to Bible Read Along. My name is Daniel. I am here with Ashley, my wife. I love her. And it's Friday. It's Friday. So we would love for you to comment, say hello, let us know you're here. If you're brand new, just do it as well. Feel free to say hi. Just jump in. Be part of the Bible Read Along family. Comment here, comment on YouTube, wherever you are watching this, comment even if you're not watching it live. Comment when you are watching. And it is Friday, so we like to do a little thing here and highlight Home of Hope, great organization. So we're going to go watch that video right now, and then we will come and say hello to anyone that's in the comments. So you got time still. Hit that comment section up. And this is a great organization called Home of Hope. You can visit them at homeofhope.ca or on social media as well.
$50 a month can completely change a child's life in every way. Your donations and sponsorships are being used to entirely transform lives. Be a part of something bigger. Donate or sponsor a child today.
Got to turn my mic back on. That's it. That's Home of Hope. Great organization. Not only do they do child sponsorship, they do a lot of other things. They're rescuing babies from dumps, helping single moms, food cards, goats, pigs, health cards, shoe projects. There's so much. I saw one post from them today from the Dream Center in Nairobi, Kenya, where they are helping pregnant teens with to keep their baby, number one, and then how to be mothers and how to, so lots of stuff they're doing. Go check it out at homeofhope.ca. All right, we have some people joining us excuse me, in the chat. Let's go say hello. Hello. We got everyone in here this morning. Melissa's here. Good morning, Melissa. Morning, Matthew, and he loves Bible Read Along from Kelowna, BC. Phyllis here. Rachel. Mike Markey's here. Glad to see you. Ashley Bellamy. Glad you're here, Ashley. Valentina. And Ashley's in the chat as well. Awesome. We are so glad you guys are all here. Please feel free to comment questions in there. Comments. Anything you want during this reading, and then we will answer them at the end. If you haven't already, please help us keep spreading the word about Bible Read Along. Hit that share or invite people to come and join us each weekday morning. All right, Joshua chapter 8. Let's pray and let's do this. Lord, thank you so much for your word. We love you, Jesus. Thank you for the Bible examples of obedience and holiness. And Lord, we just want to learn from these examples. So help us today, help our minds, help our hearts to focus on you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right, so today, Joshua chapter 8, what is the recap? Well, Moses has passed away. Joshua's in charge. They've crossed over the Jordan. God stopped the waters just like he did the Red Sea. They parted over. They consecrated everyone, had a circumparty, as Ashley likes to say. Then they rested. Then they marched around Jericho, and they marched around. The walls came down on the seventh day. They took Jericho. They saved Rahab the prostitute, who saved the spies of Israel and helped protect them. Then they went to go and attack Ai, and they lost horribly because Achan had stolen things and hidden it under his tent. That's where we are at with Joshua. Let's go to chapter 8, verse 1. Oh, it keeps changing my, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it keeps changing my verse view here. I'm going to go, what's happening? What is happening? Nope, doesn't like me today. Not doing that. Okay. Joshua 8, verse 1. I don't like that red at the bottom there. You see the red under the verses? I was going to fix that, but I can't do it right now. So, nope, can't do it right now. And as soon as I push Alt, it changes views here. So I don't know what's happening.
It's not that bad.
Not that bad. Okay, we're going with it. AI destroyed. AI, yeah. It sounds like a Nelly song.
Yeah.
Attack in AI. Okay, here we go. AI destroyed. Then the Lord said to Joshua, do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. God has said this to Joshua several times already throughout the book of Joshua. Interesting. Now, what does that say to me? That says Joshua actually had issues, struggles, hang up with his self-image, self-worth, self-confidence. And God has to continually remind him, no, don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. So, kind of cool that God addresses him specifically in that need. Take the whole army with you and go up and attack Ai. For I have delivered it into your hands, the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land. You shall do to Ai and its king as you did to Jericho and its king, except that you may carry off their plunder and livestock for yourselves. Set an ambush behind the city.
Like
now,
pirates.
Isn't this like pirates? Arr. We are the pirates who don't do anything. No. Totally different.
Is that from VeggieTales?
Yeah. Yeah, if I sing random songs you don't know, it's usually VeggieTales. So, I spent a lot of years in kids' church and youth ministry. Tea break. Okay. I don't know. That's what Steven Crowder does to start his show. Okay. No, I'm good. So, it's Friday. I like to be a little more silly on Friday. Okay. Interesting here, because what just happened? They attacked Jericho, and Achan got in trouble and ruined the whole... It was him, his family, his clan, then Israel that was in trouble because he took things. And so now, all of a sudden, the next city, God says, now you could take things. And you see, this isn't about, like... This just is... It just shows who God is.
It's obedience.
It's obedience. It is obedience. And that's what God is looking for. Because sometimes we go, oh, well, God did something this way before, so we have to always do it this way now in the future. And we don't. God he's alive and he's changing, and I shouldn't say he's changing because he doesn't change, but his ways change at times. So now he's saying, take everything. You guys kill everyone and take all the plunder. It's all yours. So just interesting. I'll get into this because this is a long chapter, so I'm going to just keep going here. So Joshua and the whole army moved out to attack Ai, and he chose 30,000 of his best fighting men and sent them out at night. Notice a little difference in attack strategy here. Last time they were very proud and arrogant. Only send 3,000. That's all we need. And a percentage of them died. Now it's send all the men. Send 30,000 troops.
And at night. So
at night.
With
these orders. Listen carefully. You are to set an ambush behind the city. Don't go very far from it. All of you, be on the alert. I and all of those with me will advance on the city, and when the men come out against us as they did before, we will flee from them. They will pursue us until we have lured them away from the city, and for they will say, they are running away from us as they did before. So when we flee from them, you are to rise up from the ambush and take the city. The Lord your God will give it to you, to your hand. When you have taken the city, set it on fire. Do what the Lord has commanded. See to it you have my orders. Interesting attack strategy here. So they already know AI thinks we're afraid. Let's go up, pretend to attack it again. We're going to run away. They're going to chase us. You guys swoop in and take the city while all of the army's out. Burn it, destroy it, we'll kill all the men. It's going to be a good day. Just a great day. So then verse 9, Joshua sent them off, and they went to the place of ambush and lay in wait between Bethel and Ai, to the west of Ai. But Joshua spent the night with the people. Early the next morning, Joshua mustered his army, and he and the leaders of Israel marched before them to Ai. The entire force that was with him marched up to approach the city and arrived in front of it. They set up camp north of Ai, and with the valley between them and the city. Joshua had taken about 5,000 men and set them in ambush between Bethel and Ai to the west of the city. So the soldiers took up their positions with the main camp to the north of the city and the ambush to the west of the city. That night, Joshua went into the valley. Okay, so I know there's a lot of details here. It's really just saying they set up on the camp. It shows where the ambush is, shows where Joshua's men is. It's pretty just straightforward. It's just hard to read sometimes. Verse 14. When the king of Ai saw this, he and all his men of the city hurried out early in the morning to meet Israel in the battle at a certain place overlooking the Arabah. But he did not know that an ambush had been set against him behind the city. Joshua and all Israel let themselves be driven back before them, and they fled towards the wilderness. All the men of Ai were called to pursue them, and they pursued Joshua and were lured away from the city. Not a man remained in Ai or Bethel who did not go after Israel. They left the city open and went in pursuit of Israel. So interesting, they did what God said, and it's happening exactly the way God said. Weird, right? Obeying God and it works. Weird. Okay, verse 18. Then the Lord said to Joshua, hold out toward Ai the javelin that is in your hand, for into your hand I will deliver the city. So Joshua held out toward the city the javelin that was in his hand. As soon as he did this, the men in the ambush rose quickly from their position and rushed forward. They entered the city, captured it, and quickly set it on fire. The men of Ai looked back and saw the smoke of the city rising up into the sky. They had no chance to escape in any direction. The Israelites who had been fleeing towards the wilderness had turned back against their pursuers. For when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city and that the smoke was going up from it, they turned around and attacked the men of Ai. Those in the ambush also came out of the city against them, so that they were caught in the middle with Israelites on both sides. Israel cut them down. This does not mean insults. Israel cut them down, leaving neither survivors nor fugitives, but they took the king of Ai alive and brought him to Joshua. So kind of it worked. Good strategy. Israel camped on one side. They went around back to the other side and hid there. Israel waited for them. Ai came out to attack. They ran away, and all the men followed them. And then the men behind the city just came in and took it. And then the men that were running just turned around and... Okay, so verse 24, when Israel had finished killing all the men of Ai in the field and in the wilderness where they had chased them, and when every one of them had been put to sword, all of the Israelites returned to Ai and killed those who were in it. 12,000 men and women fell that day, all the people of Ai. For Joshua did not draw back the hand that held out his javelin until he had destroyed all who lived in Ai. But Israel did carry off for themselves the livestock and plunder of the city as the Lord had instructed Joshua. So Joshua burned Ai and made it a permanent heap of ruins, a desolate place to this day. He impaled the body of the king of Ai on a pole and left it there until evening. At sunset, Joshua ordered them to take the body from the pole and throw it down at the entrance of the city gate, and they raised a large pile of rocks over it, which remains to this day. If people say the Bible's boring, they have not read the Bible.
That was a pretty epic battle right there.
This is, I love the Bible. If the Bible was put into a movie today, it would be R-rated, just so you know.
The 300 movie.
It's like 300, Ashley says, and it would. Like, people are, this is an epic battle. They're just killing everyone, burning everyone, burn the city, destroy the city, take all of the goods. Like, this is cool. They put the king on a pole and just leave him there all day, and then put him down in front of the gate and just destroy the gates. And like, it's just cool. If you like action movies, that is. If you are into romance novels, this is probably not the chapter for you, but that's okay. We will keep going here. Love you. All right, let's keep going. The covenant renewed at Mount Ebal. Then Joshua built on Mount Ebal an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded the Israelites. He built it according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of uncut stones on which no iron tool has been used. On it they offered to the Lord burnt offerings and sacrificed fellowship offerings. There, scroll down here a little bit. There, in the presence of the Israelites, Joshua wrote on stones a copy of the law of Moses. Interesting here. Most people wouldn't even be aware of this, that Joshua wrote on stone tablets the same laws that Moses had written, which was the same laws that God had written. This is a reminder to the people. This is also, this just shows how Joshua leads. He does what he saw his leader do. He makes the altar the way Moses described it in the books. He writes the laws the way that Moses wrote the laws. This is why we need, even when we just go, well, I'm obeying God and I'm doing, we need mentors, sponsors, leaders that can help us and guide us and that we can follow their example. Paul said this, follow me as I follow Jesus. There's people that are going to give us an example that we need to follow and mimic. And, you know, I was talking with someone this week, a pastor friend of mine, talking about, you know, people see people on stage or where they're at or what they're doing or the blessings in their life and they go, I want that. But people are not willing to do what they did to get what they got. And we often just see it and go, I want the rewards without the work of it. And it takes work, you know, and we were talking about different situations in his life and in my life. And, you know, people could look and go, oh man, look at Dan. He's leading this and that and Bible read along and Celebrate Recovery. And he's a regional rep and he's, you know, but man, this didn't, and this pastor said even, and he's a pastor at our church, you know, and he even said, man, when we started Celebrate Recovery at Home Church, we had people, oh, they get a band and they get words on the screen and they get meh, 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 meh. And Sean was like, sorry, I just said his name. But anyways, Pastor Sean said, you know, Dan, none of that was handed to you. Like, you worked for all of it, but people don't see that. People want what you have without doing the work that you've done. And, we see Joshua not do that. Joshua goes, I'm willing to do what Moses did to lead the way that Moses led. We need mentors, we need teachers, we need sponsors. Okay. Joshua wrote on stones a copy of the law of Moses. All the Israelites with their elders, officials, and judges, we're seeing government type structures developing. all of Israel with their elders, officials, judges, were standing on both sides of the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, facing the Levitical priests who carried it, both the foreigners living among them and the native born were there. Half of the people stood in front of Mount Gerizim and half front of Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had formerly commanded when he gave instruction to bless the people of Israel. Excuse me. Afterward, Joshua read all the words of the law, the blessings and the curses, just as it was written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses had commanded that Joshua did not read to the whole assembly of Israel, including the women and children and foreigners who lived among them. So what is he reading here? He's basically reading, remember the end of Exodus, we went through all of the law of, plus the tabernacle, how it was built, how the altar was built, how the...
What we just read.
He's basically reading what we just read, plus Deuteronomy, and probably Leviticus too, because Leviticus actually means the law. So this is not a short sermon. This is not a rally the troops. This is gather Israel. We won some wars. We won Jericho and Ai. And then now we are going to read literally 3 books of the Bible. Exodus, Deuteronomy, Leviticus. To everyone, women, children, family, kids, foreigners that have now joined them and said, we want to be a part of Israel. So it's just interesting. He did what God's telling, and there's some hard work in this. When really that's what I'm seeing in this chapter, but what are you seeing? If we want the rewards that God has for us, the blessing that God has for us, it takes obedience and it takes hard work. That's what I see in this chapter. But what say you? Let me know in the comments below.
What say?
We want to hear it from you. I use catchphrases once in a while that are not my own. They're from YouTubers I follow. And if you catch on, you would know what YouTubers I follow. Because if you know these catchphrases. But anyways, what are you saying in the comments? Let me know. Let's go to it right now. Let's go over there. How do I do this again? That's what I do. Oh. Okay. What do we got here? Happy Friday. Okay. Bible read along is frozen. Does it freeze for anyone else? Please let me know, because Matthew, I think this is an issue on your end. Because we are not, everything's looking good here. Mine hasn't stats. I had one spot actually that looked like it dropped out a while ago, but not enough to freeze it up. But let me know if it's freezing. We'll try and work and fix it, but I do think that might be on your end. Morning, Mindy. So glad you are here. It's a good day to be coming back, Ashley says. It absolutely is a good day to be coming back. Mike loves Veggie Tales. Oh, good. Veggie Tales, Veggie Tales. Very entertaining. Happy Friday. Is AI a real city in the world today, Dan? And what is an ambush? AI was a real city. I'm assuming it's probably not around still because they utterly destroyed it, unless it has been rebuilt. So I don't know. Are you looking that up?
What?
No.
Reading the comments.
That's okay. I thought you were looking something up. So I don't know if AI is a real city still today. I don't think it is.
It is, but it's called something else.
Yeah, if it is, it's called something else. An ambush, the best way to describe an ambush is it's a trap. It's a trap. So you can ambush people. That's often what muggers will do. They ambush you. You walk down a certain alleyway. It's dark, and they trick you, and then they've captured you where there's no escape. So that's kind of what an ambush is. They overtake you. Morning, Carolyn. So glad you're here. What was Joshua's army's people's name in the Bible? Well, Matthew. There was 30,000 of them. I don't know all their names. I do not know. Matthew likes to ask questions sometimes just as a joke, just to see if I will answer it or what I'm going to do. I'm on to you, Matthew. There is value in sound counsel from Christian mentors, Mike says. Absolutely. I agree with obedience and the fact that God doesn't always move or direct us the same. I think we as humans, we get stuck in patterns. Absolutely, Mindy.
I found the answer.
Okay, what's the answer?
An ancient Canaanite town destroyed by the Israelites, yada yada, and it's pronounced hey. It's pronounced hey. Just use the Bethel. This would make it identical with the large early Bronze Age site now called Atoll. So it's still
Okay, so
a site with a statue, but it's not the city.
So she said it's been destroyed. It was actually pronounced hey, and it doesn't exist at all. That's what I heard. It's something about atoll there. There's a statue of atoll or something. So it doesn't exist anymore, Matthew. Mindy, back to this obedience. We obey, and it's not always the same with God. How am I doing for time? We're okay. I remember, and I've shared this story before, but I remember a pastor training me and saying, maybe you have two neighbors, men, women, whatever. I'll use women as an example. You have two neighbors, one who has real low self-confidence and struggling, and God's speaking to her heart and saying, hey, put on some makeup. It's okay. Literally next door could be a woman that's so vain and self-absorbed, and God's saying, hey, lay off the makeup a little bit. This has become an idol to you. It's become and even though, so we obey God, but we couldn't go to our neighbor and go, God told me that nobody is supposed to wear makeup. Or God told me everyone's supposed to wear makeup. No, we obey God. And there are there are rules that we all obey. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. The 10 Commandments: don't murder, don't steal, don't lie, don't kill, don't. Okay. But then there are circumstantial obedience, where God has a plan for our situation and we have to obey. I can't obey I can't make Celebrate Recovery when I'm praying about Celebrate Recovery. Lord, what do we do? How do we do it? It's going to be a different plan than God is giving a CEO of a large company. It's different structure. It's different. It's going to be different than even other ministries in the church. Let's compare apples and apples. Leading the youth ministry is going to be a lot different than leading Celebrate Recovery. God's going to give you a different plan for it. So these are circumstantial or situational obedience that we have to obey. And then we can't, and then here's where we get stuck, Mindy, and we'll go, oh, well, God told me how to build the youth ministry. And so then we are stuck forever going, that's how to build the youth ministry. And that might've been a season. Maybe that time's done. I remember the church I used to be a part of. We had this Halloween alternative every year, and it was brutal. It served its time. Kids got saved. Families came to church. But now, after time, it was a lot of work and zero results. No one was getting saved. Nothing was happening. Times changed. And I remember sitting in a staff meeting one time, and I said, man, we got to change this. And they looked at me and said, but we've done it this way for 20 years. And I said, well, just because you've done it that way doesn't mean it's right. Just means you've done it wrong for longer than you should have. And that didn't go over so well, and I was asked to leave the staff meeting. But, there's seasons that God speaks. And this is why Joshua, we see this. Joshua, the plan for Jericho was different than Ai. And the plan for Ai was different than, we'll get into some other battles here too, but the plan for each city is sometimes different. The plan for each, so we have to obey. I'm with you, Mindy. Don't get stuck in this is how we do it always, because that's not always what works for everyone. Melissa said it didn't freeze. Ashley said it didn't freeze. Did I miss anything else here? Stuck in the patterns. That was the word you used, Mindy.
I'm stuck in the patterns of how I clean my house.
It's a good example. Ashley says she's stuck in the pattern of cleaning her house. And that's, again, but there's a difference. I'm not wording this very well. I'm not thinking it through. There is a difference between doing what works and structures and systems that work. Let's use Celebrate Recovery. There is a system that works for share groups. We have private share groups, men and women separate. There's guidelines to make sure it's safe, and you're supposed to follow the guidelines. Now, does that mean every leader, though, is going to lead the exact same way? No, but there's a way to do it, and then you bring your own personality and you obey. And we've had groups where we have to stop and go, you know what? I feel like God's just saying we need to pray for you tonight, and we need to just stop sharing for a minute, and we be obedient even though there's structures in place. That's how a good church operates too, by the way. Structure isn't, sometimes we go so far the other way then where we just go, I just obey the Holy Spirit, and we don't start on time or end on time, and we just do what God's, if we feel it's time to worship for an hour, we just worship for an hour, and pastor preaches for 3, and then they sit there and go, and I have no idea why new people aren't coming to our church. It's because people need structure and system. People need to know it starts here, it ends here. You're going to get these main elements. But inside of that structure is freedom. We're not bound by it. There's freedom to still obey. And anyways, that's a whole other big topic. Patterns in cleaning are okay. Patterns in work. If I don't systematically do things at my work, they don't get done. I have a system of how to do things. When I was driving truck, I had a certain way I would walk around the truck to make sure the box was pinned and everything's ready and it's ready to go down the road legally. If I didn't do that, things got missed. Structure isn't bad. So it's a balance. That's all I'm trying to say. There's a balance between, don't be so married to structure that you're missing out on obedience, and don't be so in love with the idea of obedience that you have zero structure because you think you're being obedient. That's it for today, guys. I hope you have an amazing weekend. We will be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. Tell a friend that we're here every weekday and you're learning some cool stuff. Kings are getting stuck on poles. People are getting killed and burned. And tell them all the things. See ya. That's it for today.
Bye.
Bye, guys.